Keyshawn, you did not just say trading Micah Parsons a week before the season is a win-win. Tell me how.
Jordan,
what am I missing?
It's a win-win.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 1 of the Schultz Report presented by Fanatics Sportsbook. I am your host, NFL insider Jordan Schultz, and I could not be more excited about this moment. 1, we are finally officially launching the Schultz Report and the Jordan Schultz YouTube channel. I promise you all, this is not your typical NFL show and not your typical NFL channel. We're doing things differently around here all season long. And 2, of course, the greatest sport on earth officially returns this week with the NFL kickoff. And if this offseason was any indication, it's going to be a wild ride. So join us every week, every Wednesday here on the Schultz Report. In this episode, we're of course talking breaking news and headlines. I'm also breaking down my personal season preview the TSR way. The one and only Keyshawn Johnson will be joining us to give us his thoughts on the offseason, the season ahead, and of course drop some sizzling heaters. We have an exclusive sit down as well with QB1 and captain of the Colts, the silent assassin himself, Daniel Jones. I have the fantasy advice you need, long shot bets you probably don't need, and much more. So sit back, relax, and hydrate. We got a lot to talk about. Let's get into it. Look, this offseason was insane. Huge moves, seismic contracts, but nothing tops or even comes close to the absolutely insane trade that was Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers. But how did we get here and why did we get here? To understand that, I spent some time with Micah Parsons right before Cowboys training camp. We had lunch, we had dinner. He made it clear he was going to report. He was going to be a good soldier. He wanted to be a leader, but I could tell something was wrong, something was off. If you go back to 2 years ago, Micah Parsons is contract eligible after his 3rd season. He doesn't get paid. He puts his head down, he gets to work, he has another terrific season. This is really a no-brainer. And what Jerry Jones fails to understand, and really has failed to understand for the past 3 decades, is that players today are empowered in a way that they were not in the 1990s. So when Micah wants to involve his agent, David Mulugheta, not only does Jerry balk at it, but he says, absolutely not. We already negotiated a contract. So Jerry's thinking, I negotiated with Emmitt Smith, or I negotiated with Aikman and Irvin, or even Tyron Smith. But again, this is a modern day football player, and specifically a generational player himself in Micah Parsons. So Jerry decides, I want to trade Micah Parsons. Here's why that's absolutely insane. Number 1, he had him under contract another season. He didn't need to do it now. Number 2, if he was going to do it, he should have done it in March or April, or even waited a month into the season, and then he could have gotten more. Instead, he rushes into it and gets the bare minimum of what he could have gotten. That's not a shot at Kenny Clark, who's a really good player. That's a shot at the fact that he got 2 number 1s, when in reality, he should have gotten significantly more draft capital. I don't believe, and I don't think Jerry Jones, if you really asked him in his heart of hearts, ever wanted to pay Micah Parsons. So I tweeted this back out in March. Now, the same executive who told me that told me point blank right after the trade over the phone that Micah Parsons was never a priority for Jerry Jones. Think about that. As someone as great as he is, a generational player, a player who, quite frankly, you'll never be able to replace, who hasn't even played the best football of his career yet at 26 years old, that Jerry Jones never wanted to pay him. Never wanted to give him the extension. He only wanted to create the charade that he was trying to get a deal done. This was all around the Netflix special. This was all a power play for Jerry. It was all about, this is my franchise. This is my league. I'm Jerry Jones. I do what I want. And now he will have to face the ramifications of trading away one of the NFL's true superstars, a superstar he will never, ever be able to get back. Speaking of back, let's talk Pack. The Green Bay Packers, baby. They got Micah Parsons. What does this do for them? It does a lot. You already have Rashawn Gary. Now you add Parsons. That's going to be arguably the best pass rush in the NFL. Jeff Hafley, the defensive coordinator, are going to be very creative. You have good linebackers, a good secondary, and obviously an offense in Jordan Love that's going to be absolutely dynamic. I cannot tell you how excited I am about Green Bay. I already thought they were a Super Bowl dark horse. Now, to me, they're one of the best teams not only in the NFC, but in the entire NFL. There's been a lot of talk this offseason about the NFL's rookie wide receiver class and specifically how soft it is. I wholeheartedly disagree. Let me start with the name Tataroa McMillan, Carolina Panthers top 10 pick out of Arizona. This guy is flat out special. Now, I've talked to some people within the organization. There's obviously been the Mike Evans comp because he's 6'4", because he's 225, but I think he's even faster and more explosive. And that says a lot because Mike Evans is going to be a Hall of Famer. Bryce Young's going to look to Tataroa McMillan a lot this season. He's going to have a massive impact. Number 2, Isaac Tesla, Detroit Lions rookie, third-round pick out of Arkansas. They went out and got him. They traded a lot of capital to get him. Now, we had the opportunity to spend a day with the Lions during training camp, and all I heard from Dan Campbell and Terrion Arnold was, this guy can flat out go.
His catch radius is very impressive. Once he just learns and he starts to get polished, he's going to be elite.
He had an unbelievable catch or 2 or 3 in the preseason. It was the constant theme. He's going to have a big impact as wide receiver 3 in Detroit. There's also the matter of Emeka Egbuka. Ohio State, he is sensational. Now, Tampa Bay is dealing with the Chris Godwin injury. They need a number 2 wide receiver for Mike Evans. Enter Egbuka. I talked a lot with Brian Hartline. He's the Buckeyes wide receiver coach who's obviously produced not only Egbuka, but Marvin Harrison Jr., Jeremiah Smith's coming through the ranks, Chris Olave, the best wide receiver coach in all of college football. He said the thing about Emeka is very tough, very smart, very physical, and maybe most importantly, can play every single wide receiver position on the field. That's because of his intelligence. So you got McMillan, you got Egbuka, you got Golden, Tesla, Luther Burden, but the name you really need to watch for, a later round pick out of Utah State, Jalen Royals. So why Jalen Royals, you ask? Good question. It's the great hands, it's the toughness, and most importantly for Kansas City, it's the ability to stretch the field, the big playability. You have Xavier Worthy, you have Hollywood Brown, you have his Travis Kelce. Now Patrick Mahomes gets a rookie with an expanded route tree who's going to make a very, very big impact this season. But if you can believe it somehow, the Chiefs and rookie wide receiver Jalen Royals may not only have gotten the NFL draft's biggest sleeper, but I'm telling you right now, they're actually going to be even more dangerous as a result. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the offseason that the Cincinnati Bengals had, an offseason that quite frankly needs to be studied for a whole host of reasons. Number 1, back in March, we reported that Jamar Chase and T. Higgins signed their record extensions. That was the number 1 priority. They got it done, and then there was this massive gap. What's going to happen with Trey Hendrickson? Are we going to pay him? Are we going to trade him? Are we going to renegotiate his 1-year deal? He's 30 years old. He's the NFL sack leader. It goes back and forth. He's holding out. He's holding in. What the hell is going on? But finally, they get it done. They ultimately give him a significant raise from $14 to $30 million. He'll be a free agent again next year. Now, he doesn't have a no-tag clause, but there's no way they're going to tag him because that's going to be over $40 million. So really, you can guarantee that he will be a free agent come next year. Obviously, Shamar Stewart gets done, Demetrius Knight. And finally, a move that nobody's really talking about, but they really should. The Bengals did something really shrewd. They signed Dalton Risner, the best offensive lineman on the market. According to PFF, last 2 years has not given up a sack. That's going to really help fortify Joe Burrow's pocket. It's also going to help the run game with Chase Brown. And maybe more importantly, going to help the passing game with T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. This is the type of move that the Bengals have never done before. And we've given them so much shit over the years, specifically this offseason. Got to give props when props are due. Cincinnati, you've done it. You got the receivers done. You got Shamar Stewart. You got Trey Hendrickson done. And now you add Dalton Risner, a really good guard to help this offense. Well done. All right, enough from me. You've heard all my outlandish takes. Now it's time to bring in the one and only Keyshawn Johnson. Key, what's up, big dog?
How you doing there, Jordan?
What can we expect from Keyshawn on the Schultz Report? You're going to be on here every week. So what are you going to bring to the table, man?
We're going to talk about the day's news, right? We're going to talk about Sunday, Monday night football, leading into the week of football, Thursday night, maybe even some college football on Saturday. So we're going to give everything that we got in our tank.
So I'd be a fool not to start with the news of the day, the news of the week, the news of the century. Micah Parsons traded to the Green Bay Packers. What was your initial response? I actually think you heard the news from me when I sent it to you.
First of all, You are a fool. And yes, I heard the news once you sent it to me about Micah Parsons being moved to the Green Bay Packers. There was no way that I ever thought that that was going to happen. Although I was getting intel from some of my friends at Dallas that Jerry wasn't very happy with him just by the relationship and the things that they had gone through from a negotiation standpoint, and so, there's always two sides to a story. And clearly, one side of the story is Jerry Jones, and he was not having it at all with David Magetta, the agent for Micah Parsons, or Micah Parsons for that matter. And Micah Parsons actually tried, as you know, Jordan, one last ditch attempt to get them to come to the table prior to them moving him to Green Bay. I think it's a great move for Green Bay. I think it helps them potentially get over the top defensively. But when you lose a guy like Kenny Clark in the middle, that's going to be tough on them to try to replace that. Although the Dallas Cowboys are getting that, something that they desperately needed to be able to stop the run. They haven't been able to stop the run in I don't know how many years. So when you look at it, they're deep on the defensive end pass rush side. At least that's what the Cowboys feel. They get 2 ones in return. They get Kenny Clark. We all think that Green Bay's kicks in 26 and 27 are going to be high, and going to be low,
Right.
better yet, because they're going to win a lot of games. This is what we're assuming on the outside. But the Dallas Cowboys are betting different. And as far as we know, those are 3 1s, right? They got their own +2. They package those things up and move up to get something that they covered in the draft. So, I think it's a win-win for both sides. The Dallas Cowboys can now sign their players, Duran Brand and those guys. So it's a win-win.
Keyshawn, you did not just say trading Micah Parsons a week before the season is a win-win. Tell me how.
Jordan,
What
it's
am
a
I
win. It's a
missing?
win-win. It's a win-win because the Cowboys didn't want to do it. That's why it's a
Yeah,
win-win.
Jerry never
They
wanted
didn't
to
want
pay
to
him.
pay him.
Jerry never
They
wanted
didn't
to
want to
pay
pay
him.
him. So it's a win-win. They decided 12 sacks a year in 8 games a year doesn't do it for them. And I'm paraphrasing the 8 games
No.
because he may have a little bit more sacks here and there. No, this is what they felt. They felt you're getting the L but not the T. Lawrence Taylor, only Lawrence, you're missing the Taylor part. This is what they decided to do. Hey, it's their team, Jordan. What do you want me to say?
Well, okay, how about this? Put yourself in the position. Let's say you're CeeDee Lamb, you're the superstar wide receiver, and you find out that they're trading Micah or you're Dak or whomever. What is your first reaction as a player knowing that at least this season, this is going to make you probably worse?
Now it all depends on, honestly, all depends on how I feel about that player. Do I think that player is capable of helping us win, or is that player just full of yeast and hype and all of those sort of things? And let's take Micah and put Micah in this position as my teammate. I probably would be pissed off because I know he could potentially help us get to where we're trying to get to, which is a Super Bowl. Do I think Kenny Clark can do the same thing? Yeah, but two different positions. All
Yeah.
right, you got a nose tackle and a rush in, two different guys. So it's one of those deals where I'm happy for Micah that he got his money, but I'm also kind of upset that we got rid of one of our star players that could potentially help us get somewhere.
Yeah, see, that's for me the point. Mike, I just feel like these guys, I said this earlier, they don't grow on trees. He's a generational player. Is that fair to say he's a generational player? That's fair, right?
He is here's what I would say Mike is. He's a dominant player with a lot to grow into, if that makes any sense. He's a dominant player with a lot of upside to grow into. Um, could he be a generational player? Yeah. Yeah. Because generational players to me is when they step on the field, they change the game, no matter what the situation is. If you're talking about a guy who's getting doubled and sometimes tripled, depending on the chip that comes out of the backfield or sliding protections or whatever the case is, and he's still being productive. Also, his other guys are being productive too. To me, that's generational. I mean, that's just when because what happens, what we do is we see somebody who all of a sudden has instant success in year one or year two, and then we go crazy. Yeah, that's the greatest ever. I mean, like it's just like let's just
But see,
let's dive
yeah.
into it a certain way.
That's my point though, because he's only 26. This is not a Trey Hendrickson third contract. This was a second contract. And if I'm Jerry Jones, I understand that, this is my franchise. I turned Dallas into a global brand, the Cowboys. But don't you feel like Jerry is missing the big picture here when he fails to understand that he needs to pay someone like Micah, even if it's above the number he wants to go?
See, I don't know the details of the contract, the offer. I don't know. All I could do, Jordan, is go off of what Jerry said. That's all I could do because I haven't heard David Mugetta's side. I haven't heard Micah Parsons' side of what that deal looked like that they offered him. I don't know what it is. What is that number? What's the present value of that number? When is he getting the signing bonus? When is he getting the guarantee? How much is paid? Where's the forfeiture language in there? All the little things. I don't know what's in that deal. I would assume, based on what Jerry said, that he was making him the highest paid
Right.
non-quarterback in NFL history. That's the only thing I could assume. It had a fifth year. I do know that. And so that fifth year obviously raises that average or lowers that average, better yet, opposed to a 4 year that's going to raise the average. So it's just the devil in the details. I know that he wanted to pay Micah whatever that number was, but Micah didn't like the way the contract was going with his agent, David Mogetta. He stuck by his agent, and his agent decided that, hey, it's time to move him, and they moved him to Green Bay.
My last question is, you brought up the agent. Micah obviously had conversations with Jerry in the realm of here's the deal that
Yeah.
right. Okay, so they had conversations that Jerry felt were really productive, and then all of a sudden Jerry feels like, okay, the deal's actually essentially done, and then Micah says, wait, talk to my agent. This is my issue with Jerry. I feel like he's stuck in the past when he doesn't understand that at some point here the agent David Mulugheta has to play a significant role to get this thing done.
Yeah, no, look, I don't know that he's stuck in the past. I know how I operate. And if I look at you, Jordan, and I say it's done, it's done. We don't need, if I tell you it's done, it's done. We don't need to go back and forth and do these sort of things. Apparently, Jerry thought it was done based on Micah saying it's done. Doesn't mean, and I don't know this because no one's told me, doesn't mean that Micah's agent said it's not done. It just means that Jerry didn't want to send him the paperwork because I thought Jerry should have gave the paperwork to Micah. Micah can now give it to the agent. The agent can now do whatever he needs to do with it at that point in time. But apparently Jerry never even gave it to Micah to give to the agent. So it's like, and I think at that point it became a war of words between Jerry and his agent, David Mugeetta. Which will be interesting because I think David Mugeetta represents about 3 or 4 more Dallas Cowboys or whatever the case is.
Including George Pickens, and that's a year away.
That's gonna be that's gonna be very interesting when he has to have those conversations with Jerry Jones. And look, Jerry, as you know and you've seen, and I know him very well, he is a no nonsense guy in
Old
terms of
school.
loyalty.
He's old school.
Yeah, and if you don't have that loyalty with him, then he'd rather do something different. And that's the way he's always walked and approached things. So, I'm glad Micah got his money. He is on a much better football team. He will have as of right now, as it stands today, he will have a faster track to the Super Bowl with the Green Bay Packers than with the Dallas Cowboys. So I'm sure he's happy. It's Green Bay though, but
I can't imagine Keyshawn in Green Bay.
That's interesting because I remember when when I got traded to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Green Bay Packers was the actual first team to acquire. And Bill told me, Green Bay, I said, I don't want to go to Green Bay. I don't care if Brett Favre's a quarterback. I'm a city guy. I want big lights.
Wow.
I'm not going to Green Bay. Yeah.
Key, I'm going to ask you a question that I've been thinking about a lot the last week. It's very simple, but it's layered. Does Jerry Jones's old school approach still work in the modern day NFL?
See, Jordan, again, it's not my way or the highway. It's talking to a player and having a conversation with him about his contract. And that player understanding that's Jerry Jones, and that player understanding he's talking about a contract. So then what you then do is you turn it over to your representatives. And that's all you got to do. It's not, oh, I'm not going to talk to Jerry because this, that, and the other. You should know not to tell the owner, the general manager, anyone, okay, that's a good deal. I'll take it. You hired somebody to do that. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation with the owner at all, Jordan. Not one bit. And I think when Micah made the decision to say the deal was okay or whatever the numbers was or whatever that case may be, he didn't really understand who he was dealing with.
Why is it that you and Jerry got along so well? What is it about him that you were able to relate to?
I think it's more about the hustle in him.
Okay.
It's the hustle in him, a natural born hustle. 'Cause that's who I am. I'm a natural born hustler, right? I grew up in the streets. I had to scrap and crawl to get what I got.
You hustled my ass to get on this show.
I look at Jerry as a guy who worked to get everything that he's gotten, and he's proud of it, and he just was always honest with me. I never felt like he was being slick. I never felt that way about him. Um, so that's what I would say.
I want to talk about a few young receivers. I've said I don't think that fans are giving the young receivers, specifically the rookies, enough credit. I don't know how many of these guys you've seen, but have you been able to check out Tedero McMillan and Mecca Ibuka? Who do you like, the young receivers?
It's hard to break these dudes down because first of all, they're not playing. They're not. I got to see some game. What are you giving me? A quarter of preseason? I mean, I don't. What are you giving me? So it's really hard to be able to look at them and be able to tell you what they are in a preseason or training camps, things of that nature, because those things are set up for success. And there is no turbulence,
Yeah.
so to speak,
Let me
early in their careers.
right. Yeah, let me change the question then. What is it about George Pickens that will or will not work in Dallas?
Well, I think the great thing about George Pickens is he's with a veteran offensive unit, right? Quarterback's a veteran, CeeDee Lamb's a veteran, tight end's a veteran, few offensive linemen are veterans. You got veteran players on the team in particular on that side of the ball. Whenever you have veteran players on that side of the ball at your position as well with CD Lamb, you can now, those guys could put their arms around you and have conversations with you. If you go back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, there was really no veteran offensive players. I mean, like you say, well, no, Russell Wilson's the vet. Man, Russell Wilson just got there. He's only been there 6 weeks, right? I mean, it's tough to have that cohesive unit all on the same page when you got new faces and you got a veteran guy who George Pickens wants to get his contract. He knows that he wants to get his money. In order to get his money, he has to get the right touches. All of those sort of things. And I think it's going to work perfect. And I'm not worried about him in Dallas, not one bit. Because again, you got CD Lamb, you got the Dak Prescott situation.
Key, so you haven't seen enough of these young wideouts, but what is it that you look for in a young wide receiver to predict legitimate success at the next level as a pro?
Well, the number one thing he has to do is to catch the football. See these hands? These hands will smack you right upside your head, Jordan. But you got to be able to catch the football. Can a young receiver catch the ball with his hands and not his body? When he leaves the huddle, when he lines up, does he know what he's doing? Right? Does he break the huddle and he's supposed to go right, but he starts to go left, but then he realizes I got to go right? All of those little things people don't ever see, so they really don't know. That changes your focus, right? If you're out there thinking too much, you lose focus on what it is that you're supposed to be doing in that assignment. So that's what I look for young receivers. Can you catch the football? I don't care about yak yards and all. Just catch the football. Do what they pay you to do, and that's catch the ball. Then you start to line up correctly. Once you line up correctly, then you can play fast. And that's what you see with young, good receivers. That all of a sudden you look up in their rookie year and they're 900 yards or whatever and 8 touchdowns. You could tell, okay, they get it. They understand what they need to be doing. And that's what you look for. Or are they afraid to get in the mix? Are they turning things down, closing their eyes? All of those sort of things.
How about Key's current top 5 wide receivers?
Oh, God, Jordan. Uh, you're asking me top five off the top of my rip.
Yeah, top of your head. There's a
Obviously,
couple. There's a few
obviously,
really obvious.
obviously Chase. Jefferson. I put T. Higgins in mine, but people look at me like I'm halfway crazy.
We
I
love T.
like T.
Higgins
Higgins.
on this
I
program.
just
Love it.
I love T. I love the 6'4", 200+ pounds, the ability to take the ball off the people's heads. Amon-Ra St. Brown works the middle of the field with the best of them out of the slot. You have him. Tyreek Hill had a down year, but he's still right there with me. Devontae Adams is right there with me. So you look at those guys are interchangeable to me. I'm not a statistical freak. People like you, Jordan, you pay attention to the numbers. He caught for 10 for 140. He's great.
No.
I'm like, no, 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 no. That doesn't mean he's good because they're throwing him the ball. They drop back 50 times and they're throwing him the damn ball 75% of the time. He's going to have good numbers.
So that's like a high volume scorer in basketball. A guy that's going to shoot 38%, but he's going to have 26 points because he took 32 shots.
Yes. And that happens at the receiver position. And the first thing we do is we go, oh my God,
Wow,
he's
look at
really
that day.
good.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily the truth.
That's what you were.
I'm not going to defend, as I tell people, I'm not going to defend my career. I'll let you do that.
That's what you were. High volume. My favorite Keyshawn
Again,
moment.
again, I will let you defend that. I'm not going to defend my career because I know what my career was.
Can we just get a 30-second clip of the twirl and what that meant to you?
It means a lot. It's a USC thing, man.
How heavy was that? How heavy was that spear?
It was very heavy. I didn't realize when I grabbed it. It wasn't even the stick, the spear. It was the flag.
Oh,
Because
the
once you're
flag.
running and the wind is pulling you with the flag. I mean, you're pulling it, but the wind is pulling you back because of the flag. So I'm running, and I finally did my deal, and boom. As you can see over my right shoulder, one of my many trophies that I've collected throughout my career is my USC MVP trophy. So that was one of them. I mean, I have
I
two,
love
but
I
that was
love that
one.
trophy, but
Yeah.
nothing tops the twirl.
The twirl, yeah, you like the twirl.
I mean, you ran 50 fucking yards with that thing.
Don't know why I decided. It was senior day, and we were playing UCLA, and it was at the Coliseum, and there was 100,000 plus people there. It was a big day, and you know we had already clinched the Rose Bowl. We were already set. It was just our last game of the year, and I just decided. Coach Robinson told me no at first. He was like no, and then somebody said let him do it, and I just ran out, and you know, fucking crowd went crazy though. It was, and then we got blew out.
Yeah, wait, who was that Cade? McNown? That wasn't McNown.
Oh God, Decay McDowell. I think they scored 21 unanswered plays
Wow.
on trick plays, all trick plays, double reverse pass, and flea flickers, and it was just like, what the hell just happened to us?
Okay, it's predictions time, but we're
Yes,
not doing the typical boring predictions, Key. We're going to play a game together. First up, teams not named the following that can win their division. So let's start with the NFC North, not Green Bay. So, for example, Key, I would say Detroit. Who, other than the Packers, can win the NFC North?
I want to see Chicago. Like I really want to see Chicago in real live action.
You like the Bears,
I
and you believe in Caleb.
you asked me. You asked me a question about nobody out here, not Green Bay, so I have to pick somebody. It's not that I like Chicago. I just
You
feel
love
like
Caleb.
if they're healthy, no, I think if they're healthy though, Jordan, I think with Ben Johnson, the group of skill position players on the offensive side of the ball, their defense is pretty good.
Okay.
Let's see if they can put things together.
Okay, NFC South, not Tampa Bay. I'll go Atlanta.
I'd go Atlanta too. I would pick Atlanta as well. I'm not not Jacksonville. Carolina doesn't do it for me. I don't even know who they're throwing to in Carolina for crying out loud.
Teteroa McMillan,
Um,
baby.
yeah, but I mean, as a rookie,
Yeah.
as a rookie, I'm talking about you need a veteran wide receiver. You can't have a bunch of young dudes with a young quarterback. Young quarterbacks need veteran receivers to help them grow. Tampa Bay obviously is the better team of the three teams in the division. The New Orleans Saints, they drafted a guy and then decided to start the other guy. It just doesn't. I can't figure out the New Orleans Saints to save my life.
NFC East, not Philly. For me, it's got to be Washington. I don't even think there's another. I mean, the Giants will be better. They will be better. But I got to go with the Commanders.
If it's not Philly, it's Washington. And the Giants may be better, but Jackson Dart will be under center by week 6. And then we're not even talking Dallas because
Yeah.
none of us think that Dallas is going anywhere.
The NFC West, I think, it's not only one of the better divisions, but it's really hard to forecast. So we're going to go not Niners. I've gone back and forth with Seattle and the Rams. I'm going to go Rams. A lot of hinges on Stafford. Has to be healthy. But if he is healthy, and it is a big if, I think that's a really good football team.
I'm going to take the Rams over the Niners, and then the Niners would be the team, not Seattle, obviously, and not Arizona. But it would be the Rams at the top for me and the 49ers behind them.
AFC North, not Baltimore. For me, it's the Bengals. We always give them crap, but they got everything done. They got the receivers done. They got Hendrickson. They just brought in the guard. I like Cincinnati. How about you? Not Baltimore.
I'm going to take Pittsburgh. I like the Steelers.
So is that because of Aaron Rodgers, or is that more Mike Tomlin?
It's more just the organization.
Okay.
It's more about what they've done. It's more about retooling that secondary. You look at that secondary with Porter and Slay and Jalen Ramsey, right? You look at that matching up against T. Higgins in Jamar Chase or what they have in Baltimore at the receiver position. You just look at what they've been able to do. They got TJ Watt done, right? That's a big force. Hayward's in the middle. That's a big force. They got the quarterback. They got Metcalf. You're not asking Aaron Rodgers to throw the ball 35 times a game. You're asking him to get you in and out of the right place,
Yeah.
put your team in good positions so that they can put points on the board. That's what you're asking him to do and not turn the football over to the other team. And I think if you look at his career and his resume, he doesn't turn the ball over to the other team at all, really. I mean, they
right.
got the quarterback.
So he can do
that
enough.
knows what to do in the right situations.
I never would have thought I'd say this. Keyshawn Johnson, huge Aaron Rodgers fan.
I'm not a fan. I am what I call an evaluator who knows what the hell I'm looking at, Jordan.
AFC South, not Houston. The sexy pick is the Jags. I like Jacksonville. But I'm going to go with Daniel Jones and the Colts.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Jaguars. Taking Jacksonville. I like Daniel Jones. I knew when he went over to Indy that he would beat Richardson out. I said that to many people that he's going to be the starter because he has a lot of tools, and sometimes you just need a change of scenery and environment so that you can now play within yourself. Play like you know how to play. You don't have to worry about the fans booing you or coaches side-eyeing you. You got a new start, a fresh start. So I think Daniel Jones will do well there. Now, look, Jacksonville's got a new coaching staff, but they got some talent. The quarterback is talented. I don't know how talented, but he's talented enough to be drafted as the number 1 overall pick. He's not that can't miss guy that everybody was talking about, but he is an NFL professional quarterback. It was not a great situation to start with in Jacksonville, but I think finally they may have gotten it right.
Yeah, AFC East, not Buffalo. I'm trying to convince myself that the Patriots could be that team because I love Drake May, but it's tough to find another team in that division.
It's not for me. It's not for me. I'm going New York Jets. I'm staying close to home. I think as long as Fields could turn the corner, I think they got something. Garrett Wilson offensively, Brees Hall offensively, Taylor at the tight end spot. They got a young nucleus. Defensively, we know about Quentin Williams and Sauce Gardner and company. I think Aaron Glenn is coaching this team to be successful and not to be afraid. That is something that New York has been missing. And you look at Steve Wilkes' defensive mind, right? He's a defensive coordinator. Every place he's been, that defense has been pretty damn good. Miami Dolphins are right there, but Miami's got so much going on, and it all hinges on whether or not Tua can stay healthy. If Tua can stay healthy, we've seen them with Tua, we've seen them without Tua. We also seen the Miami Dolphins travel to cold weather cities and not get a win. So there's a lot that's against the Miami Dolphins where I think there's a lot in favor for the New York Jets.
Finally, AFC West, not KC. Everyone's talking about the Broncos. If I know you the way I think I do, you're probably picking Denver because you believe so much in Sean.
I like Sean, and I think Denver's going to fight for that 2-3 spot, or better yet, 3-4 spot with the Raiders. I think the Chargers are going to steal this number 2 slot with Justin Herbert and company. Najee Harris is cleared to practice, so he'll be on all tilt, ready to go. So you start to look at Keenan Allen coming back as a veteran, and you know what Harbaugh wants to do. He wants to pound the football. He wants to play action, pass it. Those are the sort of things that he wants to do. And I love Ladd McConkey in the slot for them. He's a hell of a football player who's only going to grow and continue to get better. So I got Kansas City, the Chargers, and then the Raiders and Denver can fight.
Key, I need your most outlandish prediction that could actually come true. Could be about a player, a team, a coach. Could be anything. And I'm putting you on the spot, but what's your craziest prediction this season that you really feel like might happen?
That the Dallas Cowboys wind up in the NFC Championship game. They do have a quarterback. And when you have a quarterback, you typically are good. Teams that have quarterbacks,
yes,
and I mean good ones, they're usually in the mix. If he stays healthy all 16 or 17 weeks, 18 weeks, 17 games, they'll have a shot. When you have a quarterback, your team is usually good. Teams that don't have quarterbacks, teams aren't good. They have a quarterback. Wouldn't you admit they have a quarterback?
They have a quarterback. My biggest concern, aside from trading Micah and the pass rush, is the running game. I like Jaden Blue, this young guy they really like, but they don't have an established running game. And again, just the vibes after trading Parsons, plus that division. I was high on Dallas. I was actually really high on Dallas.
You said outlandish. You said outlandish. You said go off the cuff.
I can appreciate where you're coming from because I liked Dallas a lot before the trade. It's just, and I really like Kenny Clark. He's an all-pro player. It's just really hard for me to get there without Micah.
Okay, but
it's outlandish and it's not insane. It's not.
Let me break this down for you. Baltimore Ravens have a quarterback, right?
Sure.
They're going to be in the mix.
Yeah.
Cincinnati has a quarterback. They're going to be in the mix. The Cleveland Browns going to have a quarterback. They're not going to be in the mix, right? Buffalo has a quarterback. They're going to be in the mix. If Miami and Tua stays healthy, they got a quarterback. They're going to be in the mix. Kansas City has a quarterback in the mix.
Okay, all right. I get it. You're just a Dallas homer.
So when you,
I tell you what, if Dallas goes,
it's facts. I'm giving you facts.
If Dallas goes to the NFC Championship, I'll go to the Star, and I'll do the twirl. On the
last one, Tampa Bay has a quarterback. They're in the mix. New Orleans doesn't have a quarterback. They're not in the mix.
Was Brad Johnson the quarterback?
We don't know what Atlanta's quarterback situation is. We know Carolina's not in the mix because they don't have a quarterback.
Was Brad Johnson the quarterback?
Convince you they do. Huh?
Brad Johnson, he was a good quarterback.
Brad Johnson won a Super Bowl.
I know, but I'm saying he wasn't a superstar.
No, I didn't say superstar. I said quarterback. If you have a viable quarterback,
you're in the mix.
You're going to be good. You're just going to be good.
Life lessons from Key.
Brad Johnson had gone to Pro Bowls.
I know, he was talented.
Brad Johnson gone to playoff games.
Keyshawn, were you approached to be in Jerry Maguire?
What do you mean?
Would you have been in that movie? I feel like you could have been in that movie.
No, I don't. Nah, never. I don't.
Okay, fine.
I was in college, maybe?
No, 97.
I think I was in college.
96. Yeah, you were in college.
Okay, I just came out.
Keyshawn life lessons. If you have a quarterback, you're in the mix.
Am I lying?
You're not lying. It's not a perfect science. It's not a perfect science.
Minnesota had a quarterback last year that was a Pro Bowler, lights out. Played phenomenal. They don't have that guy now.
So Seattle, Seattle's in the mix.
Seattle has a lot of other stuff that I got to see. Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet.
JSN.
I got to see.
We like Smith and Jigba a lot.
Yeah. I mean, he's growing. He's growing, but you got to have a QB, though, man. So if Sam can do some of the same things, Seattle will have an opportunity to chance. The San Francisco 49ers, for all the hell that people give Brock Purdy's a hell of a quarterback, man.
They got one.
He's
a good player.
The Rams are talked about because they got a quarterback. That's why you talk about the Rams, because of Matthew
And
Stafford. If
Sean
he
John
stays healthy.
McVay.
Yeah, but without Matthew
Right,
Stafford,
it doesn't work.
as Sean McVay is in play calling, he
Jimmy
can win a few
Garoppolo.
games, but you got to have Stafford. You got to have Stafford.
Key, I got to tell you, I'm thrilled for this season. I can't wait to see and talk about more twirls. And
So
this was
stupid.
week 1 of the Schultz Report. You fucking hustled me to get on this show, and now I got to deal with you for the whole season.
I hustled you to get on a show. What the?
As always, great stuff from Key. Expect to see that every week right here on the Schultz Report. And now we travel to Indianapolis for a very rare sit-down interview with QB1 of the Colts, Daniel Jones. We talk about his journey to this point, what we should expect from here, especially this season. And we also learn about some interesting facts that typically reserve quarterback has never revealed on camera. Run it. We're here in Indianapolis at the beautiful Colts facility, joined by QB1 Daniel Jones. DJ, thanks for joining the Schultz Report inaugural episode.
Of course. Thanks for having me. I'm honored.
Okay, Daniel, how does it feel to be named QB1 of the Colts as well as team captain?
Obviously, excited to get the chance to play and to be out there week 1 and to be named captain is a tremendous honor. I think, never take that lightly. I think, anytime that a group of your peers, people you work with and compete with and they vote you captain, I think that's something, I've always tried to take really seriously and do the best I can to represent them in whatever way I need to. But grateful and very appreciative of that.
I guess how long did it take to sink in for you to realize I'm QB1 and I'm captain my first year with the Colts? Like, what was your reaction to it?
I mean, yeah, like I said, excited. I think pretty quickly though, you go to like, all right, now it's real. Now we're getting ready for week 1. We're playing the Dolphins and let's get ready to do that. So excited and obviously grateful. And then pretty quickly it's like, it's time to go. So, you're in camp mode for so long. Camp is grind and day to day, especially the position I was in, competing to start. Your focus is so close on what's ahead.
Yeah.
But to get that news, you're pretty quickly into now we it's time to go.
So you spent a lot of time in New York. The Giants really all you've known, obviously in Minnesota for a minute. But what's been the biggest difference football-wise, off the field, just in general, going from a market like New York to now Indianapolis?
Well, there's a big difference off the field for sure. I think, Indianapolis as a city is very different than New York, and I lived pretty close to New York City on the Jersey side, but that's a busy part of the country, and there's a lot of people moving around on top of you all the time, which I enjoyed, but I really like Indianapolis. I think the people here are nice. There's, the Pacers were a lot of fun to watch and follow this offseason as we were here during OTAs. But I really enjoyed it. And then on the field, just the, trying to get to know the guys in the locker room. I think we got a lot of really good dudes on the team and fun guys to work with. And then getting to know the coaches and learning the system, learning what Shane wants, what Jim Bob wants, how they see the offense, how they want it executed day in and day out. But I'd say the biggest difference is just you've got Indianapolis versus New York. It's pretty different.
Found any good food?
There's some good food. Yeah, there's some good food. I'm still working through some of those spots and trying to find some favorites, but there's some good food. A lot of steakhouses. It's a big steakhouse spot downtown. There's a number of them.
How do you develop a relationship with the coaching staff? Obviously, the players are one thing, but from a coaching staff standpoint, how do you develop with Jim Bob and Shane? And what's the key to that? I know you got to be yourself, but there's a trust that gets developed. Where does that happen? How does it happen?
Obviously, on the field is important, with any situation and communicating, before plays, after plays, what you're seeing, what they want, what they're expecting in the meeting room, kind of the same kind of conversations. All that's important. And then, time in between, whether it's walking, onto the field or off the field or in the weight room or whatever it is, or on the golf course or grabbing a dinner or something. I think all that time is valuable, and the better those relationships are, I think the better you can communicate when it is time to figure something out on the field or on the sideline or in a game plan, getting ready to play somebody.
One thing I've always admired about you is you have always taken ownership, whether it's going well or especially when things go south. You've always taken ownership. Do you feel like you were set up for success in New York?
You know, like you said, I take 100% of the quarterback is at the center of what happens on a lot of NFL teams. I think that's certainly true, and I didn't play well enough at times, and that hurt our team in New York. But you know, it was a tough situation at times. I think we dealt with a lot of injuries. You know, we had several coaches and you know, people in and out and players in and out, and anytime that happens, I think it's tough. But you know, other quarterbacks deal with that too, and I think that, you know, you learn a lot in those experiences.
Have you been able to lean on Eli? I know you've always had a good relationship with him. Even now, how has he, you know, helped you?
You know, I've stayed in touch with him, and obviously through my time in New York, and then yeah, still stay in touch. But you know, whether it's week to week after games, kind of asking what he thought or his take on a certain situation, and then, you know, down to just communicating with teammates or you know, setting up an off-season training idea or kind of going into a game. You know, I think just little questions here and there, knowing he's been through it all and obviously dealt with a lot of those things really, really well. But yeah, or, you know, just hanging out and playing golf. I think that, you know, relationship has certainly helped.
What do you feel like is the biggest difference schematically from maybe what you had in New York to Minnesota to now in Indy with Coach Steichen? What does he do different that you've been able to learn so far?
Throughout the league, a lot of people, you know, I'm sure you've heard people are running a lot of the same plays and doing a lot of the same things. I think the Minnesota system, you know, that you know, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, you know, that style of offense is unique to those systems. So I'd say that one, you know, is pretty different in what they do. But here, I think, you know, Shane has great versatility. I think, you know, a lot of spread the guys out, a lot of simple pass plays run from different looks and can attack a lot of different ways. I think the RPO game that he's built, you know, here, I think is unique and been fun to learn how he uses different pass concepts, different runs, different kind of marries them all together and teach them. I think that there's a lot of versatility in that.
We talked about Tyler Warren earlier a little bit before. He's really got a lot of ability. I'm curious for you how quickly it took for you to realize just how talented he was.
I'd say it was pretty quick. I think, you know, with you know, pretty soon when he got into the mix in OTAs with us in the spring, you could see just his feel. I think that's part of his strength is just his instinct and feel for the game. And with a guy like that, it really doesn't take a ton of time for him to kind of apply that skill set to. It's a pretty, you know, when you think about it, it's a pretty translatable skill. It's like, can I feel space? Can I feel how to get open against certain looks? Can I, you know, understand how the defense is playing me? Can I body a guy, make a catch? I think a lot of those things he does really naturally, and you saw pretty quickly when he got into the mix here. So it's been, you know, fun working with him. He's continued to, I think, learn and understand, you know, what he needs to do in this offense. But it's been a lot of fun. He's a talented player for sure.
You mentioned the feel for him. A lot of the positives about Tyler Warren coming out of Penn State were physicality, his speed, the way he catches. I haven't heard that as much. The fact that maybe his intelligence, you think about all the other stuff, but his intelligence is special. So you noticed that right away, and that, I guess that would manifest itself a lot, like on a 3rd and 8 where you need him to sit in his zone, just certain things like that.
Yeah, I think that, you know, a lot of times it's some of like the gray areas to football. You know, coaches want to make things black and white. Hey, this is the rule here versus coverage. Do this, do that, do that. And I think that, you know, that's most situations. But there's also the gray in a lot of, you know, you're seeing a look for the first time, or this guy's playing this a little bit differently. You know, is he going to wrap around this guy, or is he going to take his angle a little bit higher? And a lot of those things he's done, you know, really naturally. And so as a quarterback, that's that makes it easier to play with for sure.
What about the receivers? Start with Pitt. I've always admired his consistency, great hands, intelligent. What do you like about Michael?
Yeah, I think that he's extremely reliable and consistent, in that he's tough, not afraid to go over the middle and make the catch. Just consistent and reliable, I think, in a lot of ways. And I think that's why he's been so productive for as many years as he has, is he's just another smart football player, and he's reliable in those situations.
Alec Pierce, you said, might be one of the best golfers. Yeah. Also a really good player and made some phenomenal catches last year. Big plays. What do you like about Alec?
It's just his explosiveness, ability to make plays down the field. He's fast, can get behind people, but also goes up, and catches the ball in contested situations. Is just a really good athlete, explosive down the field. And I mean, I think, does a lot of other stuff too. He probably gets the most notoriety or credit for a lot of those plays down the field. But I think he can, he's made a lot of plays in the intermediate game or other, aspects of his game throughout training camp, and I'm excited to watch that this year.
One of the players that I've always felt was underrated coming out of the draft and even throughout his early NFL tenure is Josh Downs. I just think he's a phenomenal football player. Not the biggest guy, not going to run the fastest time, but he is so consistent. What do you like about Josh?
Yeah, I think he's another guy who's really smart, has a great feel and instinct for how to get open in space. I think you think about, in third down situations, and when you really need a guy who can separate, a guy who can make the play, make the tough catch. He's been that guy for the Colts, for these past few years. So I think, him continuing to do that, and then, just a really solid football player.
And then lastly, I'll say with Jonathan Taylor, obviously Saquon's one of one, but I was curious, have you seen some similarities? Because they are different, but they're two of the best in the NFL.
For one, I think size-wise, they're both guys who have great speed and explosiveness, who can take it the distance, but also big physical guys who are tough to bring down. And I think you see that. I think obviously watched JT for a number of years, and he's been at the top of the league for that time. But it's been fun to watch him run and work throughout training camp. He's explosive, powerful.
If I could ask you to say one piece of advice you'd give now to rookie Daniel Jones, what do you think it would be?
Football is not a perfect game all the time, and coverages are going to play out different ways, and some, one thing you learn there. So it's like, can you learn something from certain situations, take it with you, but, learn kind of, not everything is black and white, kind of, and
football's very gray.
Yeah, it'll see it, react, trust yourself. I think, kind of playing with those instincts and kind of that freedom.
What are we going to say about Daniel Jones a year from now? Let's fast forward. We can't do it, but hypothetically, what do you think we'll be saying?
I mean, I think he led the Colts team to a very strong season and scored a lot of points, made a lot of plays, and I'm excited. I'm excited about this team. I think we got a lot of good players kind of across the board, but I think looking back, I think you say, hey, this was a Colts team that not a ton of people were talking about maybe, but proved they had a lot and won a ton of games and made a lot of plays, scored a lot of points.
Who has been the most instrumental in your life as a football player, but also as a young man?
Think back to my high school coach, Coach McNulty, and how hard he worked at helping us all have an incredible high school football experience. In college, it was Coach Cutcliffe at Duke, and someone I'm still very close to, lean on heavily for advice, and really, really special. Very fortunate to have him. And then I've had a number of great coaches in the NFL who I think very appreciate, guys who've believed in me and gone out and helped me learn, helped me grow. I think about Jason Garrett. I think about Mike Shula, Pat Shermer, a number of coaches who've shown, who've helped me a ton and helped me grow. And there's been so many more. I'm sure there's other guys I'm forgetting right now, but I think that's a cool part of football is the relationships and the people you meet.
We can't let our guests go without having some fun, so I have some quick fire for you. DJ's top 5 quarterbacks of all time. You don't have to rank them.
So I'm just gonna go off of like people that I grew up like watching a lot. So I'd say, let's see, Brady, right?
Yeah.
Brady, Rodgers, Peyton, Eli, Breeze, Rivers.
That's
that's the era of quarterbacks I grew up like watching and looking up to. I think all those guys. I mean, now it's certainly Josh and Mahomes and all those guys. But those, to me, when I think of like all-time great quarterbacks, it's like that class of Brady, Rodgers, Peyton, Eli, Big Ben, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees. Like that was it for me growing up.
If you weren't playing football, what would you be doing?
Hopefully playing something. I mean, I don't know, basketball, but that's a long shot.
Yeah, your jump
golf,
shot is...
my jump shot's not there anymore. But
golf?
I don't know. I mean, no, if I dedicated my life to it when I was 10 maybe, but hopefully something athletic.
Okay, Duke is a football school, true or false?
I'd love to say it is, but it's tough. I mean,
Yeah,
I think with the history of basketball that we've had at Duke, you know, but it's grown. We've had some good teams.
Had some good teams. Good quarterback this year.
Yeah, good quarterback. Coach Diaz.
Pretty good.
Done a great job, and we got Riley now. Riley carried it on pretty strong until he left us to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But
Watching the Super Bowl or watching March Madness?
Probably the Super Bowl. The game, the Super Bowl is probably it. But March Madness, you got a whole, there's games on all the time.
I know.
That's a fun time.
If the NFL made a Netflix series about you, who would you want to play you?
Christian Bale, maybe.
I'll go Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy.
But
Tom Hardy is he's a good pick for sure.
So you like The Dark Knight? That's your.
Yeah.
Would you rather have Taylor Swift or Drake write a song about you?
Drake.
Who's the best trash talker you ever played against?
Tough. Brandon Graham in Philadelphia talks a lot. I'm sure you've heard that. BJ Hill is a guy I played with in New York. He would talk all the time in practice.
How about the moment you realized you love football?
I think I always loved football. I think playing early on, I started playing football in second grade, I think, and I loved the contact of it. I think I was a linebacker and a safety.
Really?
And
You're
corner.
Like a Bob Sanders?
I don't know if there's a Bob Sanders in Little League football, but I enjoyed the contact of it. I remember at that age, some kids are okay being hit, some kids don't want to be hit, and I enjoyed that. And the team, we had a really special Little League team, and that was a great experience for me growing up and kind of helped me fall in love with the game.
Would you rather be on the cover of Madden or star in a Hollywood movie, let's say like a Spider-Man, Superman kind of deal?
Probably cover of Madden.
Cover of Madden.
I don't trust my acting skills. See, if I was starring in a movie, that's a lot of time on the camera. I think Madden, your picture's there. You had a good season. Like there's a lot. That's easy.
I don't see you as a leading man.
I don't think that's going to be my post-football.
Well, I want to say a big thank you. We kept you a little long to Daniel Jones, first episode of the Schultz Report, QB1 of the Colts. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Jordan.
We appreciate you.
And now before I let you go, I can't leave without some bad season-long bets that I might or might not take. I'm going to pick one or the other. The Cowboys to make the playoffs at plus 270. Seahawks to win the NFC West plus 500. Let's go Dallas and a surprise. We got Ravens, Bengals, Steelers all to make the playoffs at plus 650. I'm going to go Lions, Packers, Vikings all make the playoffs at plus 950. Now we got Jalen Hurts, most regular season rush touchdowns plus 550. C-Mac plus 1100, most regular season rush yards. Let's go Christian McCaffrey, big time revenge season plus 1100, nice odds. And then my Super Bowl pick, the Kansas City Chiefs over the Green Bay Packers. Feels good to get that out of the way. And that's it for episode 1 of the Schultz Report. Big ups to my man Keyshawn Johnson for coming on, as well as Daniel Jones for giving us so much time in Indianapolis. Before we get out of here, remember to tune in to Why is Draymond Green talking about football with me dropping on Thursdays. Special guest Devontae Adams, week 1. The Schultz Report, of course, weekend guide drops on Saturday. Lots of fantasy and betting advice. And make sure to check out my interviews with Terrion Arnold, T. Higgins, and big-time head coach Dan Campbell right here on the channel. Good luck this season. And remember, we'll get through all this together. So smash that subscribe button, and I'll see you next week.